Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And it looks like Xbox is about ready to be primed for a huge holiday thanks to Halo Infinite. Not only because Halo Infinite is a brilliant competitive multiplayer shooter, but also because the competition is starting to look a little bit lacking. Yeah, things are not going so smooth for Halo's competition, so we will go over all of that today. And then also a big Nintendo exclusive just got off to a very fast start, contrary to what a lot of the online belief was around this game, so we will go over that one as well. To start today off, though, we're actually going to be talking about a game that is near and dear to my heart, being Yooka-Laylee. Now, if you're a big fan of old Rare games or Banjo-Kazooie back on the Nintendo 64, there's a good chance that you've probably either played Yooka-Laylee or even helped crowdfund it over on Kickstarter. This was actually one of the most successful Kickstarters of all time because Yooka-Laylee was designed to be a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. Yooka-Laylee was also developed by Playtonic, which is made up of former Rareware developers, so yeah, there was a lot of excitement surrounding Yooka-Laylee, and while it didn't exactly meet everybody's expectations, I still do genuinely believe this is a good collectathon 3D platformer. And if you are like me, you're probably going to be really excited about this, but it has now been confirmed that a Yooka-Laylee sequel is in development. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, there is Impossible Lair, but Impossible Lair was a spiritual successor to the Donkey Kong Country franchise. This instead, though, is a sequel to that original Yooka-Laylee game, being again a collectathon 3D platformer. Now, this is because that Tencent investment that we were talking about last week. They did say here, thanks to a sizable investment by Tencent, they're able to more than double their headcount, and they're also expanding into 3 different teams, one of which, of course, is working on that Yooka-Laylee 3D platforming sequel. So if you like Playtonic games, they do have a lot going on right now. For fans of Banjo-Kazooie, this is actually really exciting. They actually have a real budget this time. A bigger budget can go a long way with talent, as we saw with Psychonauts 2 and Double Fine, and I think that's what we're going to see here with Playtonic and Yooka-Laylee. So while Banjo-Kazooie unfortunately is still missing in action, I mean, seriously, Xbox, what are you doing? Let's make a Banjo-Kazooie game. Let's do a remake or something. But whatever, we do have Yooka-Laylee in development, and once again, it just seems like 3D platformers are back. Next up, we do have some PlayStation news today, as a new patent has now been uncovered, and this one's an interesting one. So yeah, Sony has now officially finally filed a patent for the PlayStation 5's faceplates after, of course, threatening a number of different third-party sellers. We have seen this a few times over the last year since the PlayStation 5 made its debut. They did threaten legal action with both Dbrand as well as PlayStation for making their own custom third-party shells for the PlayStation 5, and Sony, they just weren't having any of that. And this has led to a lot of speculation that maybe Sony was going to make their own official faceplates at some point. I mean, it would make sense because I really do believe this is a brilliant design on Sony's part. The fact that you can just swap out the entire shell for the PlayStation 5 and give it a drastically different look without having to buy a new limited edition console for another $500, that would be huge. So I do really like the idea of being able to customize your PlayStation 5 with different faceplates, but as of this moment, Sony hasn't exactly taken advantage of this design here. But thanks to this patent here, it does sound like that's about ready to change. It does seem like Sony is at the very least heavily considering making their own official faceplates. Maybe we could start to see some official custom faceplates maybe sometime next year, with some of their bigger games about ready to release, such as God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West. It would be kind of cool to get some custom faceplates alongside those games, though this is all, of course, just speculation. Something else that this patent does do is it makes sure that other third-party companies can't use the PlayStation 5 faceplate shape, so this could be just to prevent stuff like that happening as well. I guess we'll just have to kind of see how all this works out going forward. Moving on, we're going to talk about a game that might actually impact Xbox and Halo Infinite over the holidays, and that would be Battlefield 2042. Now, the reason for this is because Halo's big competition this year, of course, would be Battlefield 2042 and Call of Duty Vanguard. Now, if you know anything about Call of Duty Vanguard, this game is not performing up to expectations right now. Vanguard has not been well received by fans, and right now, that's also affecting how many people are actually buying the game. Over in the UK, as an example, it's actually been the lowest performing Call of Duty game since Call of Duty 4 back in 2007. That is not what you want to see with a big franchise like this, and it is definitely going backwards right now. And now here we have Battlefield 2042, another big competitive first-person shooter, and right now, again, it is not being well received. This game did launch to a bunch of issues, and fans are just not happy with this game to the point that right now it is actually in the top 10 worst reviewed games over on Steam. Yeah, if you actually take a look over at Steam250.com, it actually shows the worst rated games over on Steam. And right now, currently, as I'm recording this video, Battlefield 2042 sits at the number 9 spot. As you can see here, 75% of 42,000 votes are negative when it comes to Battlefield 2042. And one of the crazy things about this is the sheer amount of votes that we're seeing here. If you take a look at the other worst rated games on Steam, they don't have near as many votes as Battlefield 2042. I mean, Battlefield is a massive franchise, and considering that this game still managed to get 75% downvotes just shows you how disappointed fans are in this game. It really just seems like this game is unfinished and it's lacking a lot of features that should be there at launch. It actually really baffles me that EA decided to release Battlefield 2042 in the state it is. And the reason I say that is because fans months ago was kind of voicing their concerns when it came to Battlefield 2042, and EA responded by basically saying, we'll have all that fixed up by launch, and it was just an old build. But fast forward to now, and that doesn't exactly appear to be the case. This game has some legitimate issues, and when you start to look at things, it really seems like EA was just trying to fast track this game to get it out by the holiday to get those holiday sales in. I mean, we saw earlier this year that EA took Criterion off the Need for Speed franchise to work on Battlefield to get it out by this holiday. So we've known for a little while now that they were trying as hard as they could to get it out by this holiday. But if it needed to be delayed, they should have just went ahead and delayed the game. I feel like the industry should have learned from what happened last year with Cyberpunk 2077, but now we've seen a few big releases this year kind of launch in poor states. We did talk about the Grand Theft Auto trilogy last week, and now here we are with Battlefield 2042. This is another game that's launching in a state that it probably shouldn't have been. And then vice versa, we kind of have Halo Infinite right around the corner, which instead of rushing that game out, they decided to delay it for an entire year. And look what's happening. The community right now is absolutely embracing that game. The competitive multiplayer feels excellent. The early impressions for the single-player campaign has critics praising it, and it just seems like that delay has paid off for Xbox and 343 Industries. It just kind of shows you not to necessarily rush a game out just because you want those holiday sales. I'm sure Xbox would have loved to have launched Halo Infinite side by side with the Xbox Series, but instead they made the smart decision in delaying the game, and overall it's just made for a better overall game. And we're not seeing that here with Battlefield 2042, nor are we seeing that with Call of Duty Vanguard. And that right there is why this could be really big for Halo Infinite and Xbox this holiday. All of these fans for competitive shooters that might be looking for a new game to pick up this holiday, it does look like right now that Halo Infinite would probably be the way to go. Now, I can only speak for myself here, but what I do know is that Halo Infinite's multiplayer feels excellent. Yes, the Battle Pass is not perfect. They are improving on that, but the gameplay in that game is absolutely superb, and really, I just cannot put this game down. Now, one other thing that we're going to talk about here would be Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, as these games have gotten off to an incredibly fast start. These games did release last week on November 19th and have already made its debut at the number 1 and 2 spot over in the UK charts. Yes, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond is the number 1 best-selling game over in the UK right now, with Shining Pearl being number 2, and then the Double Pack also made an appearance here in the top 10 at the number 9 spot. That means that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl beat out games like Battlefield 2042, which we talked about earlier. Actually, about that, Battlefield 2042 is underperforming right now, being down 59% compared to the launch with Battlefield 5 that released in 2018. So that is quite the decrease right there, and just kind of further explains what I was talking about with Battlefield and Call of Duty, as both of those games have underperformed this year so far in terms of sales numbers. Here with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, though, not only is it impressive that they beat out Battlefield 2042, but according to GameIndustry.biz, they're also comfortably the biggest Switch game launches of the entire year, beating out Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. In fact, as they pointed out, Brilliant Diamond achieves that alone without even counting Pearl sales. That is absolutely insane, which just goes to show you how big of a launch this actually was for Pokemon. Once again, this just kind of shows you the power of this franchise. One thing that we have been seeing here and a lot in the last year is Pokemon, Brilliant Diamond, and Shining Pearl. They have received a lot of criticism for their art style very specifically. But this really does seem like a bit of a common thread when it comes to the Pokemon community anymore, where there is this vocal minority on the internet that gets upset with the Pokemon games to the point that they say they are going to boycott the game. But so far with Pokemon Sword and Shield, that didn't work out, as that has become the best-selling Pokemon game since Pokemon Gold and Silver. And now here we have Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl once again putting up absolutely huge numbers. So it does seem like the vocal part of the Pokemon community on the internet doesn't necessarily speak for everybody. Now, what I will say about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl after playing it over the weekend, the art style in this game is actually really good looking. It actually took me by surprise because while I wasn't necessarily against the art style, I did say last week that I thought Link's Awakening looked better than Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Well, now I'm going to come back and say that I was wrong for saying that. Yes, I was wrong here because now that I've played this on the Switch OLED, it looks absolutely fantastic. It actually seems like a natural evolution of the classic Pokemon games, and if you do like the classic Pokemon games as I do, I think you're going to love this game, especially the art style. I really like what they did in this game, and it pops off a handheld screen. Seriously, if you do like Pokemon games, I'm going to give this a big thumbs up. Loving this game. Now, one last thing that we're going to talk about here is an update on that Microsoft-Sega partnership. Previously, Sega did announce a partnership with Microsoft to work on a quote-unquote super game. Now, from what it sounds like, this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Xbox, but rather with Microsoft very specifically, as they will be using Microsoft Azure to work on this, again, quote-unquote super game. However, even though this isn't directly tied in with Xbox, there has been a lot of speculation that maybe this could lead to some Xbox exclusive titles. Something that we have been seeing here in recent years is Sega and Xbox's partnership really grow, whether that be with Xbox Game Pass games such as Yakuza, or even Xbox and Sega working together to bring over Phantasy Star Online 2 to the West exclusively to Xbox. That was still such a huge surprise, but yes, this partnership has led fans to believe maybe they could work on some exclusive titles together going forward. However, Sega has now responded, and let's check out what they had to say. When we announced the concept of Super Game, Microsoft was sympathetic to that vision, and that leads to the announcement this time. About this, we are not talking about releasing games to Microsoft exclusively, but rather to develop Super Game that will be delivered to the world together with their technical support. So there you have it, directly coming from Sega. This partnership does not mean that they will be working on exclusive titles with Xbox going forward. This very much is a deal between Microsoft and Sega and not Xbox and Sega. With that said, though, it does seem like Xbox and Sega's relationship has improved as of recent. So even if they just further strengthen that relationship throughout this generation, the big hope that I think a lot of Xbox fans have is for games to just simply not skip out on the Xbox. Unfortunately, when it comes to some of these big Japanese publishers, they do skip out on Xbox with some of the more Japanese-oriented games. So if less of those games skip out on Xbox going forward, I think Xbox fans will be perfectly happy. Let's go and take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, if you're an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, do you ever buy games that are available in Xbox Game Pass? This is a question that seems to pop up a lot in the community, and Xbox has given out some statistics that, yes, Xbox Game Pass subscribers do tend to buy more games, but I was very interested if you all specifically buy games that are available in Xbox Game Pass, or at the very least are about ready to leave Xbox Game Pass. I should have probably worded that a little bit different. Some of you all seemed a little bit confused about that, so I do apologize. But interestingly enough, 38% of you said yes, 50% of you said no, while 7% of you said that you're not a subscriber. So that is actually a pretty good split right there. 38% of you saying yes is actually a little bit better than I was even expecting, and it does show that a lot of you all are willing to buy games that are available on Xbox Game Pass. Now, looking through the comments, it does seem like that there's various reasons for this. Some of you all did note that if you like a game enough, you want to buy that physical version to own it forever, while several others take advantage of that discount for games that they really like as a game heads out of the service. In both situations, though, it does seem like that there's a little bit more to Xbox Game Pass than just simply trying out a game. In some situations, it does lead to a sell, even though maybe you own Xbox Game Pass already. I know for myself, I can actually say that I have done both of these things in the past. I have picked up games as they were leaving the service, and I've also bought physical games that I've just really liked that's available on Xbox Game Pass. In fact, I'm doing that next month with Halo Infinite. I want the physical copy of that game, and even though I have Xbox Game Pass, I still want to pick up a physical version. So yeah, I completely understand where you're all coming from. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.